All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night Talks, Charlotte Football Insider, CF5. We're going to share this live show out to the masses. All couple hundred of you, hopefully. we can think ambitiously, can't we? All right, we're going to share this out. And there we go. All right, so getting started a little early tonight because there's a lot of people I want to thank in this endeavor that I haven't had a chance to really thank so far. And the first one is probably a guy that you may not know. My name is Jarrell Dawson. Runs a site called Charlotte Basketball Network and does an excellent job with it. Meeting him and talking with him really kind of gave me the inspiration to go ahead and kind of start this initiative. So I want to thank him for his expertise and guidance. Of course, Brandon Black, who's been my cohort for the past couple years, covering games together. He's cameraman, producer, photographer, all that good stuff. He does a great job with me, and he'll be on this ride again. Want to thank Michael McCarver. Does a great job as a freelance photographer. Real good dude. Want to thank him. Jim West, ultimate professional football encyclopedia. Incredible dude. I want to thank him for all his intelligence and guidance. Chris Hughes runs Carolina Preps. He does an excellent job covering the whole entire state. And I, we talked one time, and I said, I don't know how you do that, and he told me he has a very fuel efficient vehicle. And one day we hope to grow into something like that. Coach Lash over at Providence runs the Minority Coaches Association. I thank him for his support. Harding Athletic Director Bryant Bailey, who's just an awesome guy. He never seeks out any spotlight or anything like that. Just grinds and gets the job done. Does an incredible job. Does more or less, like I said, on Twitter. Stephanie Wilkerson, AD at Olympic, just a super intelligent young lady, doing a great job in leadership over there. And Carlos Richardson, AD at Vance, just a great dude. And most of you guys watching this know Carlos, just a straight up guy. And I thank him for his support in starting this endeavor. So, started a little early tonight. Just wanted to thank those people for what they're doing. And there's so many others. I could go on for the whole 30 minutes I plan on doing this show and thanking people for their support. Most definitely all the high school coaches. You guys have been awesome. Just nothing but positivity starting this endeavor a couple months ago. I'm going to get into the summer tour a little later about where we want to go, and I'll throw some schools out that, we've already kind of talked. I got to reach out and schedule these dates with coaches that I've talked to. But let's get started tonight. So on the docket, we got a lot of things. We're going to start off with Hickory Ridge, of course. I was there last Wednesday and, covering, their Night of Champions. The kids are working hard. Coach Griner, is doing a great job coaching. Coach Wilson over there with the linemen did a great job. And then they broke into 7-on-7 and, they were running their stuff and everything. Of course, when they got done, we did an interview, and then we ate some barbecue. Had no indication of, anything wrong or amiss or anything like that. I feel like that I'm close enough with those guys that they would, tell me in confidence that something was going on, and I got no impression of that. And then the next day, I'm at work, because this is not my job. I do work for a living, and I was in a meeting and my phone kept going off. And I'm like, oh God, is something wrong, with my wife or what's going on? I finally get out in the meeting and I see all these messages about Hickory Ridge. So I'm like, okay, well, let me find out what's going on. And, of course, you found out what you guys know already, that, Sam decided to go ahead and resign. And, if you hadn't read C. Jamal Horton's article, The Independent Tribune, I think it does a really good job of kind of going through, Sam's thought process and, deciding to step down. Knowing Sam obviously throughout the Harding championship run and everything and getting, close to him. Sam is a very, emotional guy. He's a very direct guy. And, he does a good job, with that coaching style. And, sometimes if you feel like, your style or your message, isn't at 100% or isn't getting through sometimes, then, you do the right thing and, you step down, you make a change, and you do what's best for both sides. And I think that's probably the best way of kind of describing, what happened there at Hickory Ridge. And, I was glad to see that Coach Jupiter Wilson got the position and got the head coaching job. If you've never met him, he's a very, very down-to-earth man. He's doing a great job. He does these, he's on this mission of losing weight, and he's lost a ton of weight, and he looks good. And he was the coach of the year, for the track team up at Hickory Ridge. And, I think he'll do an excellent job. And he's got, Sam's support, and, he's been there with the kids. And, when you're this late, you're in June, if you got someone, already on the staff that can take the job, go ahead and, let him take the job. And I'm glad Hickory Ridge did that. Coach Wilson did send me a message, and I posted that today. He is looking for coaches. You can check that message out on Twitter and on the Facebook page for Charlotte Football Insiders if you're interested or someone interested. He did mention possible coordinator position could be available. I think he mentioned all spots in school, including PE, would be considered. So, it is a little late in the process, but if you're looking to make a change or know someone who is, suggest, reaching out to him via email. His email's on that post. And see if you were interested in going up to Hickory Ridge and coaching with Coach Wilson and those guys. All right, so obviously, Vance, we've had a hire. Well, not an official hire, but the word is out that Coach Glenwood Farabee from Indian River High School in Virginia will be the new head coach over at Vance. A few things about Coach that I've heard. More of a spread offense. He turned Indian River around. Before he got there, they were a 1-9 football team, and then he won, I think, 47 games in 4 or 5 years up there, which is very impressive. From everything I hear, he had the endorsement of several coaches, including Coach Brand and some other coaches in the area who spoke highly of him. Excited to meet him. Believe we're planning to have a meet and greet on Friday, I believe. We'll see if that date holds true. If so, of course, we'll have some coverage, from meeting and greeting and, getting to know Coach a little bit. But obviously Vance is going to be a really strong team. I know there were some other, in the sources say, there were some other local candidates, possibly in the running for that position. But I think this late in the process to get a coach that has done that well out of state to come to your program says a lot. It says a lot about the administration. It says a lot about, A.D. Richardson, like I just thanked him earlier. Very good job for Vance getting a coach of that stature to come into their program with all those talented athletes on both sides of the ball. It'll be interesting to see, how fast it comes together. Anytime there's a coaching change, you may see some, staff changes there. I believe maybe a couple coaches maybe went down to Irmo with Coach Brand. So we'll see who comes in and fills on that staff up at Vance. But, very good team. The coaches that are in place are very good guys over there. I expect them to be very strong again this year. We still have one opening, and that's at South Meck. And the thing about that is it's a interesting situation because you have a departing principal, you have a departing AD. They have a new AD in Coach Garcia we talked about 2 weeks ago. And we don't know, well, I don't know who the new principal is. So from what I've heard, the departing principal and AD are making this hire. So it's an interesting situation for a coach because you don't necessarily want to come in to a situation where you don't know the expectations of who's gonna be your boss, pretty much. So it's a little unusual that it's going down like this, but South Meck, like we talked about before, they have a ton of students there, over 3,000 students. And, they have some support. They have some good facilities in place. So it's a place that, has some good things going for it. But it'll be interesting to see where they go. I'm not a big guy in throwing names out there because you don't know the situation that everyone's in, whether they have applied or not. But one guy to me that just makes sense is Joe Evans. Joe Evans coached, he was coach at Independence, he was coach at RGKL, won a lot of games at both of those places. Kind of from that area, knows those kinds of kids and, that situation. And, kind of had some tough raw deals go down. And I think he deserves another chance. And I don't know if I haven't talked to Joe if he's interested or not, but I think he would be a great fit for that kind of situation, and would probably do a heck of a job given those circumstances. So one thing with South Meck is whoever gets that job, their opening schedule is tough. They're playing some heavy hitters coming out the block. So whoever does get that job, they're gonna have to hit the ground running because it's gonna be a tough go of it until they get to conference play. Recapping our spring tour, we visited so many schools in the spring, and thank you to all the schools that I was at. Everyone was so accommodating and so thankful for the coverage, and that's what we're here for. Independence, I'm gonna tell you something, man. There are some guys that they have that I was kind of told not to say much about, but they got a couple guys that's gonna surprise you this year. Really impressive what they do on offense. Obviously, with Coach Van Horn calling those plays and running the air raid, those guys are gonna pile up some points on the scoreboard once again this year. Defensively, I think they're still, going to be tough. They got Tajuan Smith coming back in middle linebacker. He's going to lead those guys. And, that's a team that I think has got, of course, a chip on their shoulder from how their season ended last year and not being able to go to the playoffs when they worked so hard. And that's going to be a team to watch in that Southwestern 4A. Then we went down to Blythewood, South Carolina, and that kind of came together at the last minute. Blythewood's looking for a scrimmage August 16th. And, by the way, they'll host or they can travel. And, Coach Seidel asked me, well, we're having our spring game. Why don't you come on down? I said, well, sure. It's Friday night. Why not? So me and Brandon went down there. We talk about facilities, and just a little aside. Blythewood has two stadiums on campus, a JV stadium and the varsity stadium. Imagine that in CMS. Oh my gosh. But South Carolina's so much different in their support, but we'll get to that in a minute. But anyways, Blythewood had the spring game. It was very cool. A lot of people came out. It was a nice night. They got some guys down there. The Burrell brothers, Joshua and Jordan, very talented kids. Both have some D1 offers on the table. Blythewood made the playoffs last year in Coach Seidel's first year, and that was when he came in the door late. So they got a tough schedule, but expect Blythewood to be good once again this year, and then coming up in the future, they're going to be really, really good. Coach Seidel previously at Hickory Ridge doing a great job down there in South Carolina, has the support of the fans, of the parents, and everyone, and the community. It's a great thing to see. And then we had a great time down there. Then Saturday, we went to the Carolina Bearcats, formerly Carolina Pride. Please check out those videos. They talk about the program. Coach Walter Freeman did a great job in, kind of describing their program, where they get their kids from and how it operates. Met Coach Mallow's very nice guy. Of course, the two kids we did interview, one, Freeman, who's watching tonight. Thank you for the support. Very good quarterback. He's got some college visits coming up. I think he can definitely play on the college level, along with Tyrese Wilkes. Tyrese used to play at Garinger, and now he's playing over there, and he looks real good. I think he can play on the next level too. So they play some pretty good teams, especially in the private sector, like Charlotte Country Day, Charlotte Latin. So it's another option, for kids that, may not be able to play for their public school for whatever reason. They can still play football. The homeschool kids go over there, and they can play there because obviously they don't have a school to play for. So they do a good job over there. They've been doing a good job the past few years, and I thank them for allowing us to come out, take some pictures, and do those interviews. All right, so Langston Wirtz, great guy. I want to thank him for his support throughout the years. Released the Charlotte Observer's Sweet 16 way too early. And I agree, it's way too early. Especially when you start talking about CMS and Charlotte Metro and player movement and things. I know there's some jokes that go out on social media about free agency and all that, but it's kind of hard. You can't necessarily pin down where some, schools and teams are going to be because you don't know where some coaches are going to be and all those things. So, but they did a way too early Sweet 16. If you haven't seen it, I'll run through it real quick. So they had number 1 Myers Park, number 2 Mallard Creek, 3 was Charlotte Catholic, 4 Richmond Senior, 5 Weddington, 6 Butler, 7 Vance, 8 Christian, Charlotte Christian, 9 was Shelby, 10 South Point, South Carolina, 11 Northwest Cabarrus, 12 Huff, 13 Kings Mountain, 14 South Point, North Carolina. 13 was Kings Mountain, 14 South Point, North Carolina, 15 Hunter Huss, and 16 Statesville. So I decided I'm going to post my rebuttal to what they did, and mine is a little different. And I'll start at the bottom. We do agree, 16, I do have Statesville. I agree with them there. And just a little bit for how I look at it. I look at it as kind of like a true power poll. So where I rank teams, I think this team could beat this team, so forth and so on. So 16, I had Statesville. 15 was Northwest Cabarrus for me. 14, South Point, North Carolina. 13, Hunter Huss. 12, Kings Mountain. 11, Butler. And that's a big difference. They had Butler at 6. I have them 11. Just because, they lost the quarterback in Peters. And when you see, Butler's system, usually when the quarterback's in that second year, they really take off. They won't have that right now. So for me, until, they can get their system worked out, I think later on in the season, once they hit conference, they're going to be rolling like they always do. But I think early on, they're going to lean on the running game with Worthy and the 2 big linemen. And that kind of pushes them down a little bit for me. So Butler at 11, Shelby at 10, Charlotte Christian number 9, South Point, South Carolina number 8, 7 is Huff. They had Huff at 12. And when they broke down Huff, they didn't mention their new quarterback, Darius Ocean. I think he's going to be a really, really dynamic guy that a lot of people don't know about just yet. We did a player focus article on him. I think he is going to be just a dynamite type of quarterback. That's why I have them a little higher. 6 is Weddington, really good team out of Union County. 5, Richmond Senior. I got Vance at number 4. They had Vance at 7. All that defense coming back. I love defensive teams. That's how you win championships. We saw that last year with Wake Forest winning on a safety. That's the epitome of defense winning the championship right there. Then our top 3 are the same. I had Charlotte Catholic number 3, Mallard Creek number 2, and Myers Park number 1. When you look at those teams, Myers Park just has, they have everything you want. They were right there last year, and they added Porter Rooks this year. Just incredible offensive potential there with those guys. Then we saw young Musin Muhammad committed to Texas A&M after receiving an offer from Alabama. Kid could go anywhere he wanted. Congratulations to him. Of course, Drake May, quarterback's just a dynamic talent, incredible player. And then they were right there at the door. They were up 14-0 on Vance. A lot of people forget that last year, in that state semifinal game before Vance, was able to come back. And once you get that, it's kind of like, in the NBA, you have those teams that kind of, get to that next step, and then they take that big step. It's kind of like, you got to go through a little bit before you can take that big one. I think this is the year Myers Park can take that big step and get to that state title and win it for Coach Chadwick and those guys. A very good coaching staff over there. Mallet Creek, they've got everything you want, man. Just as usual, big linemen on both sides of the ball. Trenton Simpson is just a monster at linebacker or running back, wherever they want to use them. Like a lot of teams this year, we've kind of talked about it a little bit before. There's going to be a lot of new quarterbacks in the city. And I think the team that, besides, Myers Park, and you see they have that quarterback, but about everyone else, mostly in the Sweet 16 is going to have a new signal caller. And whoever can kind of get that going the fastest, I think, has an inside track for a good playoff run in the state title berth. I can't remember a year where we had so many new quarterbacks at the same time. So that's going to be key to see who's going to step up and kind of take the reins of that position within the city. So those are my thoughts on that. Next week, we'll be kicking off our summer tour. We did the spring tour where we visited, I think it was about 12 schools in a 3-week period, and we were just running and pushing content out there. And, that's what we do at CFI. A lot of sites, have different things that they do well. Ours is content. We're going to just, flood you with it. We're going to highlight as many kids and programs as possible. And we're going to keep that pushing this summer. Jared, I see you're watching. You're going to like this. June 17th, we're going to be at Richmond Senior. A lot of people have said, well, you're Charlotte football insiders. Are you just going to be in Charlotte? And the answer is no. We've already gone to Blythewood, South Carolina. We're going to Richmond June 17th, and we're going to have some special coverage for those guys because I know there's a lot of Raiders fans out there in the area, and of course down in Richmond County. That's going to be a fun time down there with Coach Till and those guys. Some schools that we've talked about going to, North Meck, Garinger, Hopewell. I've got a whole list there, but those are just a few schools that you're going to see coverage from this summer. Of course, we're going to see 7-on-7 tournaments in negotiation. Well, I won't say negotiations, but I've talked to some people about going to West Forsyth June 15th, I believe, covering a 7-on-7 up there. Hopefully we can get that confirmed and nailed down. We can see some schools up there like West Forsyth, East Forsyth, Statesville. So yeah, we're based out of Charlotte. We are Charlotte football insiders, and some of our coverage will come from Charlotte Metro, as you guys have seen. But we will go. We will get out there when we can. We're going to highlight kids from everywhere we can get to, promote those guys, give them coverage that they may not be getting, or we give them extra coverage because it's coverage that you don't have that we want to provide. So a lot of exciting things coming down the line this summer. Of course, we will be doing more player focus articles. I've got a list of about 15 to 20 kids that we want to focus on that deserve it. Looked at some film. We just got to get our thoughts down on the website and get them out there. That's an exciting time coming up. So it's going to be a fun summer at CFI. Going to be a hot one. But, we'll be out there. If you have any ideas of something you want to see, please let us know. Got some fun stuff coming up this season, especially for our game of the week. It's going to be a little bit different from what we've done before, but I think it's going to be an exciting change that, everyone's going to love. Just a lot of great stuff out there. I think I want to touch on an article, or a couple articles Langston Works did about coaching pay. Coaches are underpaid. Big reason why we do this is to support coaches. show appreciation, because a lot of this stuff is thankless work, and they get yelled at on Friday nights for calling a wrong play or for not putting somebody's son in the game, and they deserve a lot more than they get. If you broke the coach's stipend down into a per hour salary, you'll figure real quick your coach doesn't do this for the money. They could go work at McDonald's hourly and make a lot more than what they're doing out there coaching. But they do it because they love kids and they love the game. There's some people out there that say, why should a coach get paid $100,000 a year? I mean, it's just like working a job. I mean, if you're the best at doing what you're doing and, people offer you six figures, then you're going to take it. The time you put in and the difference a good coach can make at a school is immense. I've been a part of losing teams. I've been a part of winning teams. And when you come on campus and your football team's winning, everything is different. The school morale is different. There's not a bunch of fights going on. Everyone's proud to be a member of a school that has a team that wins. The young men that play on that team are proud to be a part of that. And you have to put a price on it because people have to earn a living, but you can't put a price on a really good high school football coach. It can change your whole dynamic at a school. And, people want to say, well, that money should be put here for this, or that money should be allocated for that. Yeah, we need more money in schools, period. And, my whole thing is, why can't we help everybody? I saw Langston shared an article that Texas is putting $1.6 billion towards teacher raises. I mean, if you've heard anything about Texas high school football, they are the kings. They support, their coaches. They have unbelievable facilities. I mean, College Stadium, if you just Google Texas high school football stadiums, it would blow your mind how much they support high school football down there. And rightfully so. Yeah, we're football fans and we support high school football, but I mean, for what we do in North Carolina, it's disappointing. Just like I said when I went to Blythewood, 2 stadiums on one campus, just incredible. And they fill that big stadium, the varsity stadium I call it. They fill that stadium up, and when you have support like that, it's just so much different, and the kids appreciate it so much more. And I don't know what we do in North Carolina. My first question, in talking to a very smart man by the name of Fred Gailey, talked to me about the North Carolina education lottery money. And I got a question. Where is that money going? Shouldn't that money be for, things like this? And I remember seeing a story a couple years ago that some of that money is not necessarily going to where it needs to go. So I think, someone smarter than me can do a study on that and find out, okay, we need to get some of that education lottery money and put it towards, these schools, whether it's, to fund teacher salaries or fund these facilities, and fund all those kind of things that need to get done to help support, our schools and our, young men that play this game. I do want to say a quick congrats to Mooresville. They won the state baseball championship. And I see some comments I'm going to get to real quick there. I just wanted to say that real quick. And I see a comment, I believe it was Jared, that says Texas comes to recruit North Carolina teachers every single year. North Carolina will continue to lose quality teachers and coaches until they truly invest in them. Yeah, I totally agree. And we've been saying it for a couple years. It's been an exodus from North Carolina to South Carolina. And coaches come in the door to North Carolina saying, yeah, I want to get to South Carolina. I need to take care of my family. I got to get this money. So forth and so on. So, yeah, I wish there was something we could do. And I thought there were some good suggestions in Langston's article. But, of course, everyone has dissenting opinions these days. And I think we could come to a common ground if CMS and North Carolina are willing to have a conversation. And I think sometimes that's where we fall a little short. We can't even get to the conversation because everyone is so polarized on one side or the other. I see a little bit of a debate going on between Jared and Julian about, I think it's about the lottery education money. I see something about, it's being shared with charter schools, and then there's a little back and forth out there. So we'll research that for next week's show. I want to get some information on that, because I think that that's some money that we can, tap into and find out exactly where is that going. Because I would love to know, because there's got to be money out there that can help out, for a couple different things. We have about 2 minutes left. Do want to say thank you for everyone's support on the initiative we're trying to do at Harding and trying to get our facilities upgraded. I am the Booster Club president over there. It's a sad situation. Everyone knows that's been to Harding. The stadium is in a bad place. The visitor bleachers, I don't know how they are allowed to hold people, to be all honest with you. The field doesn't drain well. There's no field house, which is bad for both teams, home and away, especially when halftime or there's bad weather. We continue to push for that stuff. We'll go to the school board again June 25th to, continue to push for change, not only for Harding. What I want to do is whatever change we can get at Harding, I want to kind of use that as a template and help other underprivileged schools, not only in Charlotte, but possibly in other, areas across the state that aren't getting the support that they need. And, for me, it's painfully obvious that, that change should have happened many years ago. And you see, and I'm not going down, Barry, because, that place wasn't in a great position with their field, but they were built in 2004. I think they opened in 2004, and Harding's field hadn't really been touched since the 80s, outside of 2 new concession stands probably about 15 years ago. So I don't know. But thanks for everyone that watched tonight. If you're coming in a little late, of course you can catch the replay. It'll be up shortly. And, of course, we'll be back next week with much more on CFI's Charlotte Football Insiders Tuesday Night Talks. Make sure you get inside on the website, charlottefootballinsiders.com, Facebook page, Charlotte Football Insiders, and follow me on Twitter at Petman704. Thanks again for everyone's support. We'll keep on trucking next week. Get inside, and thanks for watching.